Going to just do things a little bit out of order here tonight. We are going to start with the personnel schedule. Mr. Craig.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Tonight, the highlight of our personnel schedule are our tenure recommendations. So you can see we have some happy faces on our Zoom call this evening. We are recognizing 7 staff members for tenure this evening. All of these individuals have made outstanding contributions to both their students and their schools over the past 4 years. In addition, they received outstanding recommendations from the building principal as well. So tonight we celebrate not only the good work they have done, but the great work they will do moving forward as they become a permanent part of the Kings Park family. So certainly my congratulations to all. We would like to take a moment to recognize each of these staff members individually. So we'd like to first start with Kings Park High School and building principal, Mr. Jason Huntsman, who will be recognizing Christina Argenzio, Lee Goldman, and Jennifer O'Leary. Mr. Huntsman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Craig. It's my pleasure to speak in support of 3 fantastic teachers who are candidates to receive tenure at Kings Park High School. Our first candidate is Jennifer O'Leary. As a special education teacher, Ms. O'Leary has demonstrated a thorough understanding of Math 11, Math 12, and the Algebra 1 curriculum, which is always a challenge to find special ed teachers with this type of math aptitude. Additionally, Ms. O'Leary has exhibited a tremendous ability for collaborating with each of her co-teachers in the area of Algebra 1. Again, the hallmark of a special education teacher is the ability to work collaboratively with their colleagues. Additionally, Ms. O'Leary possesses an extensive technical understanding of instructional technology as evidenced throughout her lessons that were observed. She created interactive, differentiated Google Forms that provided support for students exactly where they needed it. Ms. O'Leary is a valuable member of our Kings Park High School team, and I wish to extend a congratulations to Ms. O'Leary. It looks like you have a family member with you there, Ms. O'Leary. Congratulations to you. Kings Park High School is very proud of you. Next up at Kings Park High School is Christina Argenzio. As a science teacher, Ms. Argenzio has demonstrated a thorough understanding and expertise in the chemistry curriculum. She has exhibited a tremendous aptitude for collaborating once again with her co-teacher. And this was a particular challenge because we had never offered a co-taught chemistry class before at Kings Park High School. So she was the first teacher to do that. Ms. Argenzio is innovative in her lesson planning, consistently utilizing the latest instructional technologies to provide the best experiences for her students. Ms. Argenzio's calm professional demeanor allows all of her students to do their best in her classroom. Additionally, Ms. Argenzio has led our Science Olympiad program, which provides students the opportunity to work independently and as teams competing against other schools. Once again, Kings Park High School is so lucky to have Ms. Argenzio as part of our team, and we wish to extend a huge congratulations to Ms. Argenzio. And finally, for Kings Park High School, it is my pleasure once again to speak in support of Mr. Lee Goldman as a candidate for tenure at Kings Park High School. As a math teacher, Mr. Goldman has demonstrated a thorough understanding of some pretty challenging courses, including Algebra 2, Pre-Calc, Computer Programming, and AP Computer Science. His high energy, fast pace, and quick wit keeps students engaged and on their toes from the first to the last bell. His energy, even in a period 1 on a Friday, cannot be matched by anyone else that I've ever seen. Mr. Goldman's understanding of computer science is of the utmost importance as we move forward at Kings Park High School. During his time, he has successfully collaborated with his co-teachers in the Algebra 2 coursework. Additionally, this year, Mr. Goldman has piloted the Computer Science Club to enhance interest in the field. Once again, we are very lucky to have Mr. Lee Goldman as a member of our Kings Park High School team, and we wish to extend him a tremendous congratulations. Congratulations, Lee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Huntsman. Next, we have Ms. Lauren Moreno, principal of William T. Rogers Middle School, who'll be recognizing Kelly Alcantara.
Good evening. I am honored tonight to be here with all of you to recommend Ms. Kelly Alcantara for tenure in the Kings Park Central School District. Since joining the William T. Rogers family as a guidance counselor, Ms. Alcantara has proven herself to be just a true professional who has shown an unwavering commitment to her students. Her efforts with every student are just so thoughtful and personalized. And when you step into her office, it's just magical. It's the only way I could really put it. There's just this beautiful calmness and this warm atmosphere inside. And it just really helps our students and our staff just feel really welcome, feel safe, feel supported. It's just such an invite for folks who really need her. So her many years of experience as a school counselor really allows her to enter each conversation with her students with just a true understanding of what the middle level is all about. She's kind, she's patient, she's creative, and she just assists everybody with a host of different kinds of challenges, things that are academic in nature, social, or emotional. And each week, Ms. Alcantara, she collaborates with her colleagues in the guidance department as a just critically important member of our instructional support team. She helps to generate support plans that really zero in on what students really need. And throughout the year, she also welcomes her 6th grade students, helps them get acquainted and comfortable during their transition year. And she also meets with all the 8th grade students as well and their families to share the valuable information about high school graduation requirements so that they can really plan their start of their high school journey. So we're just so proud of the work that you do, Ms. Alcantara, each and every day. You've done so much since you've joined us. We just can't wait to see what you do next to help bring our guidance department to the next level. So thank you for everything you do. And thank you for your consideration tonight to our board, and congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno. Next up, we have Mr. Storch, Parkview Principal, who will be recognizing Taylor Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. 3rd grade special education teacher Taylor Brennan is an important member of the Parkview family. Taylor possesses 3 essential qualities that have led to her success at Parkview. These qualities are flexibility, collaboration, and dedication. Taylor has not taught the same grade level 2 years in a row. She began as a special education teacher in 2nd grade in a 2nd grade ICT classroom. The following year, Taylor taught resource room and traveled among buildings. The next year, she taught 1st grade ICT, and finally this school year, she teaches 3rd grade integrated co-taught. Taylor has demonstrated her flexibility as well as her ability to adapt to new curriculum assessments and in meeting the various needs of her students. The ability to collaborate with others is an essential quality for a teacher to have inside of an ICT classroom. Taylor and her ICT teammate, Mrs. Beiersdorfer, have become an inseparable team. They work in unison to provide the best instruction possible for their students. Taylor has demonstrated her willingness to collaborate and share ideas with all of her colleagues. Taylor is proficient in the use of technology and is always willing to try new things. Not only does she learn to implement new innovative instructional practices inside of her classroom, but she shares them with other members of her team. This has a positive impact on an overall grade level. Taylor is eager to learn, as evidenced by her participation in monthly professional development, scope classes, and her graduate level coursework designed to improve her special education skills. Teamwork and flexibility are certainly valuable qualities to have in a successful teacher, but true dedication to children is an essential part of the culture of Parkview. Taylor has demonstrated her dedication to students by stretching and extending her own skills and knowledge in order to meet the needs of her student. She is persistent in finding pathways to success for her students, whether in reading, writing, or math. Additionally, she is involved in many extracurricular activities after school, such as our recent site-based event, bingo night, the Great Kindness Challenge, science fair, the school safety committee meeting, and she also serves as a 7th, 8th grade girls lacrosse coach. I believe that it's teachers like Taylor who have 3 essential qualities such as flexibility, collaboration, and dedication that make our school district great. It is my pleasure to recommend Taylor to you tonight for consideration for tenure to the Kings Park Central School District. Congratulations, Taylor.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Storch. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Montecavo, Fort Salonga Principal, who'll be recognizing Jen Falco and Lisa Savage.
Thank you, Dr. Craig. I just want to honor everyone this evening. So exciting. This is probably one of my favorite nights. So it's my pleasure to first introduce to you Mrs. Jen Falco, who is a reading teacher. Mrs. Falco was first hired in the school year 2013-14 as a part-time reading teacher at the William T. Rogers Middle School. She then moved on to a full-time position where she served as a reading instructor at both Parkview and Fort Salonga Elementary School. I had the privilege of meeting and working with Mrs. Falco 3 years ago. And in that time, I have known her I've found her to be highly knowledgeable and well-versed with the reading curriculum, which includes both guided reading, level literacy intervention, and Wilson Foundation's program. She plans lessons that are specific to her students' needs. This is a recurrent message that has been re-articulated in a number of her observations from various administrators. One is quoted saying, Ms. Falco is a warm, caring individual, and she encourages her students to be their best. Ms. Falco provides a supportive environment within her reading groups. At the end of the lesson, Ms. Falco asks students to provide an area they notice improvement. Students were able to identify their own strengths. One student needed assistance, and without hesitation, Ms. Falco asked the student to read aloud, and together they identified a strength. What a wonderful message to send to a student, that you just don't have areas of weakness in reading, you have strengths as well. A few years ago, Mrs. Falco acquired her Wilson Intervention Certificate. She has also served as a member of the Reading Specialist Council of Suffolk and the International Literacy Association. Mrs. Falco has fostered a lovely rapport with her students and their parents. This involves supplemental practice for students who work on their reading at home. Additionally, Mrs. Falco utilizes both formal and informal diagnostic assessments to monitor her students' progress so that instruction is both meaningful and effective for the individual student. It is a pleasure to have Mrs. Falco on staff at Fort Salonga Elementary School. I wish her much success throughout her career at Kings Park Schools. And Lisa Savage. Mrs. Savage is a special ed teacher, self-contained special ed teacher at Fort Salonga. She was hired at the beginning of the 2003-2004 school year. Lisa served as a paraprofessional, leave replacement, as well as a full-time substitute teacher. She worked throughout the school district and wore many hats before spending the majority of her tenure at Fort Salonga Elementary School. Throughout her 17 years in the Kings Park Central School District, Mrs. Savage has established and maintained relationships with her current and former students, their parents, as well as her peers. She is a highly patient individual who is born to work with students with special needs. She cares for each student as if they were her own. She continually devises a prescriptive approach for each of her students to understand the concepts that are being taught. This is done while capturing the student's individual interests. For example, one particular student has a love for dinosaurs. She used that information to design an interactive math lesson. Prior to our transition last spring to virtual learning, Mrs. Savage took the initiative to become well-versed with educational technology. She continually implements computer-based program applications that will enhance her instruction, as well as make the curriculum more meaningful for the individual student. She is willing to demonstrate and assist her classroom peers on a continual basis, making her the quintessential team player. Mrs. Savage embodies all that Kings Park classroom teachers, educators should be. She is a hard worker, has a love for children, and her greatest joy is to witness children making learning connections. Congratulations, Lisa, on a well-deserved achievement.
Thank you, Ms. DiCavo. Once again, congratulations to all of our tenure candidates. At this time, Dr. Egan and the Board of Education, I proudly present to you our tenure candidates for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. So, can I just say something? Do we want to vote first? Oh, okay. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the personnel schedule.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So congratulations to all of our tenure candidates. Such wonderful things have been said about you all, and we're just so happy that you will be continuing on here in Kings Park.
Thank you. I just wanted
Thank you all.
I just wanted to extend my congratulations as well. And Mr. Storch, I believe, said it very eloquently. These are the teachers that make up what the Kings Park District is. So thank you all. Good luck. And thank you for making Kings Park what it is.
Thank you very much.
And I'd just like
Thank you so much.
I'd like to congratulate everybody. I just met with Dr. Mary DeRose today, and she hired me in Kings Park. I remember when I received my tenure in Kings Park. And this is a big deal. It has been really a big deal for all of you. Congratulations. Robin Payola's on board. First one of my students ever to become a teacher in the Kings Park District. So, and I remember it was a big deal for her, but I don't want her to speak right now, okay?
Like you have any choice.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Congratulations, everyone. Job well done. It's an accomplishment to celebrate. So hopefully you all get a chance to do that and enjoy.
So I don't know if I did that out of order. No, so we'll just go now to our budget presentation. Okay. All right, so we're up to our budget presentation. Dr. Egan.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the budget adoption presentation of the 2021-2022 Kings Park Central School District budget. Here in Kings Park, we're very proud of the transparent and ongoing procedures that we have in terms of reviewing the budget. We start as early mid-December. We take a look at the rollover budget, and then we have 4 targeted meetings where we look at specific areas of the school district budget and present and take some public comments on various areas. Tonight, of course, is budget adoption, where the budget will hopefully at the end of the night become the proposed budget. That again, we have one more budget hearing and then the all-important budget vote on May 18th. So if we look at where we are tonight, you'll see that thankfully we now have a 0 budget gap. As of the last presentation, we had a $437,000 gap. As of tonight, we have no gap. I'll explain how we got there. We're also looking at a budget-to-budget increase of 1.6% and a tax levy increase of 1.99%, which is slightly reduced from where we were in March. So what changed? So what a difference a few months makes, right? A couple of months ago, we were talking about threats of 20% reduction in state aid. The state economy wasn't doing well. The governor was saying he was going to withhold aid for this year, and the outlook for next year was not looking good. Thankfully, the state's revenue and fiscal outlook is much improved. And in addition, we have received some substantial support from Washington that I'll get to in a minute. The budget was a little late this year, which ended up being just fine because we were on spring recess anyway. But we did finally receive a finalized budget on April 6th. And there are a couple of highlights there. It is a record investment of the state in K-12 schools. There is a pledge to continue expanding foundation aid, which is the largest portion of state aid for school districts, including Kings Park, for not only next year, but the next 3 years, which is good because this supports some long-term fiscal planning for school districts. And there's a very large boost, $400 million for Long Island schools in general to support the approximate 126 districts on Long Island. 3 things that are super important as well are things that were either rejected or modified that may not affect the dollar count, but ended up being some efforts behind the scenes, not only from the school board, but myself, but also through our associations. The budget rejected the governor's proposal to consolidate 11 different expense-based aids into one category called services aid. This is very good that was rejected. The budget also rejects the governor's proposal to impose some local district funding adjustments and reducing STAR property tax relief reimbursements to school districts. This was also a key piece that the board and I, through our associations, NISBA, Nassau-Suffolk School Boards, NISCUS, and the Suffolk County Superintendent's Association had focused on to make sure that didn't happen in the enacted budget. So that was very good. In addition, the budget addresses transportation aid, because if you recall, last year at this time, districts were not transporting students, but they were transporting food and some other equipment, technology, supplies to students who were learning at home. And we wanted to make sure that that transportation aid was captured. So again, those were very important advocacy and legislative work that was going on behind the scenes. So here's where we ended up. The support from Washington in the American Rescue Plan Act is somewhere around $1 million for the school district to be expended by September 30th, 2024. The complete details on the federal money and the specific allocations and the process for applying for that money is not entirely known yet and should be released by the end of April. Again, that money will be a 3-year allocation, which will support additional funding, additional programs. Again, more to come on how we can actually use that money and what that process will look like, hopefully by the end of April. What we do know is that our foundation aid increased by a little over 2%. We got $231,426 of additional foundation aid. That money combined with that last bullet, which I'll get to in a minute, allowed us to completely reduce our gap and balance our budget, and also to be able to do a couple of other important things. So that last bullet is super important. On April 6th, unexpectedly, the district received 4 emails regarding some building aid that we've been trying to get restored for the last many years, actually since 2011. The district has been working on getting that building aid restored. It was for 4 years, from 2006-07 through 2009-2010. It amounts to $796,274. It's money that was owed to the school district by the state. We've been strongly advocating to get that money to us again for many years. And it finally did come in on April 6th, which was very good news. Again, that money combined with our additional foundation aid allowed us to bring forward a balanced budget and also to be able to do a couple of other things that I'll get to in a minute. So this proposed budget tonight really focuses on 5 important key areas. Number 1, maintaining every single student program, extracurricular activity, co-curricular activity that we currently have this year. The students have missed out on so much. We did not want to cut a single thing out of the budget. We wanted to maintain everything that our students currently have, and we were able to accomplish that goal. Number 2, we wanted to chip away at that tax levy, knowing that a great many people in the community have been unemployed during the pandemic or are still unemployed or having financial issues. So we were able to lower that tax levy to 1.99. We had actually started at the beginning of the budget cycle a little bit over 2.6. So we were able to whittle that down to just under 2%, which was really important. Number 3, we definitely wanted to add additional mental health staffing and supports to address COVID-19 related issues. This will result in an additional social worker, which will be added to our staff. We are planning on having a dedicated social worker at each of RJO, William T, and the high school next year. Currently, there are 2 social workers shared between the 3 buildings, and we will be adding a 3rd position for September. Additionally, the budget includes funding and support for learning loss and other COVID-19 related learning needs. We will be making a more detailed presentation on this plan with specifics at the next board meeting, April 27th, but it does include supports for not only the summer, but also into the early fall. And last but not least, one thing that's super important is taking a close look at our class size and maintaining or reducing it a little further so that as we look forward to September, we can again safely return to school and hopefully support a more typical classroom structure, knowing that student density in classes is super important. The budget also supports some things that we've been working on for many years: security enhancements, cybersecurity protections. We hear of hacking all the time, and that's important. Internet filtering, more security cameras, some typical technology upgrades, maintaining our Chromebook initiative, many STEAM and STEM related programs. Again, that new computer science club that we heard Mr. Goldman has done a great job with earlier this evening. That'll be a paid position next year and will run at the high school. Maintains all our advanced placement and dual enrollment courses at local colleges and universities. Continued support of our Envisions program, Teachers College, involvement with the Huntington Arts Council, which has been super exciting and important and a new resource for us, professional development, typical classroom instructional supplies and equipment, character ed, and social emotional learning pieces. Additional supports for students with disabilities, English language learners. We're looking forward to bringing our adult ed program back in the fall, and it includes support for that. It doesn't eliminate any instructional or non-instructional positions, and again, results in a budget with one of the lowest budget to budget increases and levy increases in the past several years. So here's where we are. We have about a $98 million budget. At this point, we did a little better in the blue box with state aid. We were actually able to lower the tax levy a little bit because we did better in the blue box. This allowed us to bring forward a balanced budget with no gap. And we'll continue to monitor this aid portion as we go into 2021, 2022, again, knowing that there is still some federal support that we will be getting in the area of about $1 million that we can spend over a 3-year period. We look at the numbers and the revenue projections. Again, the 1.99 levy increase, one of the lowest in the last several years, 1.6 budget to budget. And if we look at some of our reserve numbers that we're contributing to the budget, 406,000 in our debt service reserve, 200,000 in ERS, and 175,000 in our workers' comp reserve. So again, we are dipping into reserves in order to fund this budget. It's, you know, we often refer to these funds as rainy day funds. And, you know, this was a year where we needed to do a little bit of that in order to make sure that we balance our budget and not only maintain everything we have, but enhance in the areas of mental health and student support to make up for any lingering COVID-19 related academic issues. If you look at the last 11 or 12 school years, again, the budget to budget increase of 1.6, which is one of the lowest in the budget to budget increases there, and the levy increase of 1.99. For the average taxpayer, what this looks like is approximately $15.29 a month, which is what that increase will amount to. What we are required to talk about by law is known as the contingent budget. The contingent budget by law, the district must adopt if the budget fails. The board has a couple of options down here in the note if the budget does fail, but if the budget fails twice, we're required by law to adopt a contingent budget. A contingent budget is the same tax levy next year as was this year. So again, the tax levy increase would be 0, but we would need to cut about $1.5 million out of the budget in order to make that happen. So of course, we don't want to see that happen. And again, by law, I'm required to share this with the community. 2 important dates left in our cycle. May 11th, which will conduct the budget hearing. It's a presentation that is very similar to the one that I'm making tonight. And then of course, the all-important budget vote on May 18th. And that's the end of my budget adoption presentation this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Egan. It's certainly, you know, a month ago, we were just praying that we were going to be able to put this budget together without a gap. And it's great that we were able to do this, and not only do that, but to lower the tax levy to 1.99%. And I do have to just a big thanks to Mrs. Meehan and the business office for diligently following up on that money that the state owed us. It couldn't have come at a better time. So thank you for the job that you do all the time. Such great work in the business office. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
No, no real questions. I mean, just to reiterate, you guys have both kind of covered it all. Again, thanks to Dr. Egan and Mrs. Meehan for their leadership here and crunching all the numbers, helping us navigate through and foreseeing some of the future as we went through the process. But as you said, I don't know that we've been after that money for 10 years, and you can't say that enough. For close to $800,000 to be after for 10 years, you know, other people might have given up on it at some point. And it's important that we kept after it, and the timing was really fortuitous. And that really alone is the biggest reason to be able to do the work that we did on the library, to be able to take what we did from reserves and know that that money is there, it is coming in, is super helpful. And Dr. Egan, you hit on it with the key points, to be able to do that within the budget, to be able to support increases in mental health and learning loss as we head into a new school year, and to know that we have that other $1 million when we get more details over the next 3 years to further support other initiatives as we see the need and what fits into the requirements that they give us to be able to use that money to further support our students. I think you know, we got to all we had hoped for, and maybe a little bit more. So I'm really happy with where we ended up. So thank you.
If I could just say something to, not to totally reiterate, but as you know, those of you who've been with us through the whole budget process, it is just that, a process. And I am thankful to have been with this board, a part of it, with Dr. Egan, with Mrs. Meehan, numerous hours, putting our heads together, thinking, coming up with ways that what best fits our needs of the children, our needs of the community. And I know we always say this, it takes a village, but I am very proud of what we have to offer our students. And it just keeps Kings Park District the way it has been since I went to school here. And I'm very proud of it. And that's why it's very important that everybody knows just how much time went into making this. And thank you, Mrs. Meehan and Dr. Egan. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the 2021-22 budget is solid and lean, but at the same time, it's comprehensive and complete, despite the many uncertainties until recently due to COVID and federal state funding and mandates. And I just want to mention, and I know this is reiterating some points though, it delivers it to me in 6 key areas, actually delivers to the students and the parents and the community. One, it maintains for the security and safety of both the students and the staff, which to me is very important. It ensures a high level of education through additional intervention and academic courses. Third, it provides for the staffing needs in the classroom and the support personnel, which tends to get overlooked around here. Fourth, it maintains the extracurriculars, the arts, and the athletics. And then fifth, it increases staffing to meet the students' mental health and educational needs. And then finally, I believe brings the tax levy to a fair amount, keeping in mind the community's ability to finance the budget. And as one person had commented, what were our wants? We didn't mention any wants here, but sure as heck, we're supplying for the students' needs. Thank you.
Okay, so we will move on to public comments. The Board of Education will hear public comments that address voting items only on tonight's agenda. Speakers must state their first and last names to the district clerk and then address their comments to the board. Comments by any individual may not exceed 3 minutes. A visible timer will be used to monitor this time limit. In fairness to all, speakers who exceed the 3-minute limit and do not finish when asked will have their microphones muted. Due to confidentiality concerns, the board does not permit speakers to raise issues concerning a specific student or a specific personnel matter. Such concerns should be presented to the superintendent after the board meeting. So we'll hear public comments on voting items only at this time. If you have a comment, please raise your hand, use your icon, and we will go through. Let's see if we see anybody. Oh, how was the last time that it went on?
Or click on
It's clicking on the pages up here. Yeah.
Click on participants
At the bottom?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything.
So
Okay.
Okay, so I don't see anyone that has their hand raised. If we've missed you, please just speak out. All right, we will move on to the consent agenda. Approval of the March 16, 2021 budget workshop and regular meeting minutes. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is acceptance of recommendation to award bond project proposal for toilet renovations at San Remo Administration Building. Dr. Craig.
Thank you. This resolution is the acceptance of the bid for bathroom renovations at San Remo in the amount of $313,000.
Do you have any questions? Thank you, Dr. Craig. Do we have any questions from the board? I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas at a special district meeting duly called and held on December 8th, 2015 in the Kings Park Central School District, a majority of the qualified voters present and voting approved a bond proposition authorizing the partial reconstruction and construction of improvements to district buildings and or sites thereof. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the recommendations of district project managers, Park East Construction Corp., to award the bid for toilet renovations at San Remo Administration Building as listed below. That's it. Next is authorization to adopt the proposed 2021-2022 school year budget. Mrs. Meehan.
Thank you. This resolution will formally adopt the 2021-2022 budget in the amount of $98,054,941 as presented earlier by Dr. Egan. This budget has been developed over the course of many months and 5 previous budget workshops. And the resolution will also authorize the submission of the district's 2021-2022 property tax report card to the state within the next 24 hours as required by law.
Thank you, Mrs. Meehan. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Board of Education is required to present a budget to the voters for the 2021-2022 school year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 school year be adopted for a total of $98,054,941, and be it further resolved that the 2021-2022 property tax report card is approved to be transmitted to the New York State Department of Education as so required. Thank you, everyone. Next is donation of gifts. As per district policy, all donations must be approved by the board. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education gratefully accepts the following donations. Parkview PFA is donating a new Frigidaire refrigerator to the Parkview faculty room, value of donation $500. The following joint donation totaling $1,966 is being made for the purchase of Diane Albert's Little Spot of Emotions books. Port Salonga PTA, $531. Parkview PFA, $475. Kings Park SEPTA, $960. Total value of donations to date for the 2020-2021 school year is $49,098. Thank you for these donations. Everyone is always so generous. Our PFAs do such a tremendous amount of work and support the schools. We really appreciate all of their hard work. Next is acceptance of recommendation to add verified new vendors to the approved district vendor list. As per district policy, all vendors must be approved by the board before any payment can be made. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education accepts the recommendation to add verified new vendors to the approved district vendor list per the attached documentation. Next is authorization to approve Eastern Suffolk BOCES Joint Municipal Cooperative Bidding Program Resolution for the 2021-2022 school year. Mrs. Meehan.
Yes, this resolution authorizes the district to participate in the Eastern Suffolk BOCES Joint Municipal Cooperating Bidding for the 21-22 school year. And this allows us to piggyback off of Eastern Suffolk BOCES bid prices. And the savings realized through this process exceed the cost to join. It proves to be advantageous for the district for bids for services, as well as items such as materials and supplies for our buildings, certain custodial supplies, fine paper, and audiovisual supplies.
Thank you, Mrs. Meehan. Any questions from the board?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education approves the attached resolution to participate in the Eastern Suffolk BOCES Cooperative Bidding Program for the 2021-2022 school year. Next is authorization to sign transfer for the Department of Pupil Personnel for the 2020-2021 school year. Dr. Colby Rooney.
Good evening, everyone. The following budget transfers allow for a transfer of funds between the existing pupil personnel budget lines to cover changes in the service delivery model for several students who are in our tuition-based programs who required support going from a hybrid to a remote model.
Thank you, Dr. Colby Rooney. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the attached transfer in the amount of $423,000 to cover additional consulting and one-on-one nurse services for the 2020-2021 school year as listed below. Next is authorization to sign contracts with service providers for the 2018-2019, 2019-2020, and 2020-2021 school years. Dr. Colby Rooney.
Thank you. The agreements presented this evening will allow for programmatic and related services for students with disabilities. Please be advised that the contracts are inclusive of previous school years. This is a result of some changes that occurred in several of the agency's business departments, as well as a result of some delays that occurred due to the COVID emergency closure during the 2019-20 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Colby. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby gives the board president permission to sign the attached contracts with the following service providers for the 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 school years as listed below. Next is acceptance of CSE meeting recommendations. Dr. Colby Rooney.
Thank you. The following will include minutes from 80 Committee on Special Education meetings that were held between the dates of January 27th through March 25th.
Thank you, Dr. Colby Rooney. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the attached individualized educational programs, IEPs, from January 27th, 2021 to March 25th, 2021, 80 in total. And we are now up to new business voting, adoption of the revised retention and disposition schedule for New York local government records. Dr. Egan.
Okay, there is a manual that is published in the state of New York for destruction of records that requires school districts to keep records for various periods of time. From time to time, that manual is updated, and such an update recently occurred, and I'm proposing that the school district adopt this new set of rules for records retention.
Thank you, Dr. Egan. Any questions from the board? I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved by the Board of Education of the Kings Park Central School District that retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records LGS-1 issued pursuant to Article 57-A of the Arts and Cultural Affairs Law and containing legal minimum retention periods for local government records is hereby adopted for use by all officers in legally disposing of valueless records listed therein, and be it further resolved that in accordance with Article 57-A, only those records will be disposed of that are described in retention and disposition schedule for New York Local Government Records, LGS-1, after they have met the minimum retention periods described therein. B, only those records will be disposed of that do not have sufficient administrative, fiscal, legal, or historical value to merit retention beyond established legal minimum periods. Next is establishment of dates of Board of Education meetings and open budget workshops for the 2021-2022 school year. Dr. Egan.
This resolution would simply establish all of the formal regular meetings of the Board of Education for the 2021-2022 school year, including all our budget workshop sessions.
Thank you, Dr. Egan. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Education designates the dates listed below as board meetings and budget workshops for the 2021-2022 school year. All meetings will take place at the Kings Park High School at 7:30 p.m. unless otherwise noted. Next is authorization to add organizations to the flyer distribution list for the 2020-2021 school year. As per district policy, all flyers must be approved by the board before email distribution. Any questions from the board? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the organization listed below receive approval of the Board of Education to be included in email distribution of flyers in the school district for the 2020-2021 school year. Town of Smithtown 2021-2022 school age child care program. And we are up to special reports and announcements from the superintendent, Dr. Egan.
Okay, hello again. Three relatively brief updates. The first one is my typical COVID-19 update. We've had a relatively good week here in Kings Park. The return after the April recess, we saw a quick uptick in cases. However, we actually had 2 days last week where we had no new cases at all, which was really good news, especially as we were welcoming new complete grade levels back into our schools. So it's really been much quieter since April 6th, which is good. We only had 3 cases today, one of which was a school employee. So hopefully that continues, and super excited to see now all of our children K-12 with the opportunity to come in for in-person learning on all days, which is very exciting. We did receive some much anticipated guidance, updated guidance from the state. Late Friday, as I communicated earlier this week, the New York State Department of Health quietly updated their guidance, which had been last updated in August. So some much needed updates there. They essentially aligned with the March 19th CDC updates that you might have heard about in the media. The guidance specifically addressed things like social distancing, and really the guidance in many ways supports our current model. We are continuing to review that guidance. We do have a couple of questions, a couple of lingering questions that we still need answered on the state level, and we'll be working in the background to make sure that we get those answers. We also did receive some legal guidance from legal counsel earlier today that we need to take a look at. But for the most part, as I communicated with the community, I don't see our model changing based on this additional guidance right now. In addition, we received what I think is very positive updated guidance yesterday afternoon regarding graduation and moving up type ceremonies for the end of the school year. So for example, Kings Park High School, the main turf field would be considered a medium scale facility. And according to the state, that would be subject up to 500 people could attend a graduation event on that field. Because 500 is larger than 200, there are some requirements that the state is going to put in place in order to go to 500 people, which will require proof of either vaccination or a recent negative test, contact tracing information for attendees at that event, and a special application that the school district or probably the high school would need to complete with the county for holding that event. So good news in terms of graduation. At this point, we know graduation will be in person. We will probably have either 1 or 2 ceremonies, depending on a few things and factors in that 500 number. But the good news is that we know it will definitely be an in-person graduation ceremony, which takes a lot of the waiting game and other issues that we saw last year and having to delay graduation and so on and so forth. So that was very exciting news and much needed news. Last but not least, and my last update, over the past 8 weeks, the Kings Park Central School District has teamed up with the Rotary Club of Comac and Kings Park, the Chamber of Commerce, and the town of Smithtown on a sharing table, which was in the little park right next to Ralph's on Main Street. It's looking like this weekend is going to be the last weekend at that particular site. The town needs to get in there and do some spring cleanup, and Ralph's is getting busier and people want to use that park for recreational purposes. So we are looking for an alternative site to put the sharing table. If anybody has any ideas, you could reach out to me directly. If we're not able to come up with an alternative site, the food that is left in that table will be donated to the Comac sharing table. And Rotary is going to help facilitate that. And the clothing, any clothing that might be left at the table is going to be donated to Angels Without Faces. And the Angels are going to help us to make sure that they get distributed to needy families in the Kings Park area. So it's been a really good effort the last 8 weeks. Our students have done a wonderful job and logged hours and hours and hours of community service time. And we were able to cover 2 recesses, which was really important, especially for our families in need that have children that attend school. On recess, obviously they don't get free lunch. So having the sharing table as a resource was really important for not only the February break, but also for the April recess. So thank you for everybody who donated time and food and resources, and we greatly appreciate it. And that's my update.
Thank you, Dr. Egan. Did we have any questions?
I just have a few comments. I'll keep it short. Dr. Egan, thank you. As I'm listening to you about your updates, I'm just sitting here thinking how far we've come since last year. And we thanked you, we thank your cabinet, but I'm looking out and I see our building administrators and I see our staff and teachers on our Zoom. And I know I can speak for the entire board right now to say a huge thank you to all of you for making this happen, for working together, for seeing our kids through something that we have never been through before. And it takes all of us. And I think all of us working together, we've accomplished a lot for our students, for our community. And I thank each and every one of you. The good thing, when you had your the budget presentation, you know, we always had that wish list in the back. Through all this, the past year, we've heard your concerns, we listened to them, and we are now able to do mental health, loss of learning, possibly for kids, you know, through this all. So the achievements that we have made, I'm very proud of our district. I'm also very proud of the people I work with on this board. And I'm proud of the community who stood by us and helped us through all this. So Kings Park Pride, thank you.
Sure. First, it's with regret and sadness that I note the passing of Dr. Sandra Kavanaugh Rosenberg, longtime employee of Kings Park School District, and got to work with her for many, many years. And to many of our teachers, she was very firm, sometimes tough as a mentor, but she was thorough. And a lot of people in our district right now really owe a debt of gratitude to Sandy, miss her. Second, and it's a public notice, the Knights of Columbus is hosting its annual food drive this April 17 and 18, Saturday and Sunday, to go to the St. Vincent de Paul Food Pantry. And I mention that because the need in the community is still very, very great. And so if any of you can help out, please stop by, deliver some items. And finally, it's my intention and desire to retain my seat, albeit at the end of this table right now, as a board trustee. And I'd like to pledge again that I intend to meet the needs of our students and keep in mind the taxpayers' ability to fund the education here. Thank you.
Kevin, what are the hours for the
10 to 1 both days.
10 to 1?
10 to 1 on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, thank you. Very good.
Just would just note, I don't know all of them, but I know our fall sports season is coming to a conclusion over the next week and a half or so. And I know several of the teams, individuals are headed to playoffs, so we wish them all good luck as they move forward. And congratulations for all the kids getting through the season. I'm really happy for them that we were able to get them back out there, and likewise, some of the things hopefully we have coming out for other extracurriculars as well.
Right, and I just hope that people make good choices so that they get to play and their seasons aren't canceled due to having to be quarantined, because that has happened to some of our teams. So, as this board has said numerous times, especially Mrs. DeFord, it takes a village, and this is where we all need to work together so we can make sure that the kids stay in school and get to play and do all their extracurricular activities and not be home quarantined. We're done? Okay, we'll move on to public comments. The Board of Education will hear additional public comments. Speakers must state their first and last names to the district clerk and then address their comments to the board. Comments by any individual may not exceed 3 minutes. A visible timer will be used to monitor this time limit. The public comment sections of this meeting will not exceed 30 minutes in total. In fairness to all, speakers who exceed the 3-minute limit and do not finish when asked will have their microphones muted. Due to confidentiality concerns, the board does not permit speakers to raise issues concerning a specific student or a specific personnel matter. Such concerns should be presented to the superintendent after the board meeting. In addition, please note that the board will take no action at tonight's meeting. So again, if you have any comments, please raise your hand, your icon. I don't see anybody. If we are missing you, please just speak out.
We're in a really good place.
Okay. So we will move on to important dates. Monday, April 19th, Board of Education petitions due by 5 p.m. And Tuesday, April 27th is the next Board of Education meeting and BOCES budget vote election at 7:30 p.m. So thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.